I mean, I just really think it's so important to recognize people as they get older and what they do contribute back to our communities.
One of the things we recognized in the beginning is the amazing value that people with a few decades of life experience bring to our communities. And that's what 5 over 50 is about. Each of our county teams each year nominates someone from their community, and honestly I think we could do 50 over 50 every year and not run out of wonderful people.
The 5 over 50 don't consider themselves extraordinary. I'm guessing they just see age as a number. When selecting the honorees for 5 over 50, we look for people who have been giving to the community over the course of their lives through both volunteerism and through their professional work.
5 folks from around this region who have been working for decades to give of themselves and to benefit people of all ages in this community.
Though they all come from different counties, different backgrounds, and they've all contributed in very different ways, they all have one thing in common. They are all about helping others.
5 over 50 acknowledges people who may not always be in the public eye. Their own organizations and friends know how much they are contributing, but the community at large likely does not.
These are older adults who have made significant contributions to their communities. Really, they are working hard to make our world a better place.
The amount of work that they put back in, I mean, many retirees tell me they work harder after they retire than they did when they had their regular jobs because they're so passionate about the work that they're doing. 5 over 50 has become an important part of Aging Together because the opportunity to celebrate every year things that are happening in our communities just amazes me. The stuff that people are doing, that even if they don't win, they are winners because of all the amazing things they contribute to the communities. With 10 years, I know we've had more than 50 honorees because sometimes we've honored 2 people from a county. But I'm really looking forward to seeing who those people are that are at the place where they're going to be contributing back to the community and just giving them lots of kudos for the work that they're doing. Good evening and welcome to the 10th annual Aging Together 5 over 50 celebration. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Lisa Peacock and I'm the Director of Culpeper Human Services and also the Chair of the Aging Together Board of Directors. Aging Together through partnerships connects people to communities and to resources to improve quality of life as we age. We are grateful to Johnny Krawcheck and Culpeper Media for all that they do to make this event possible. This event is always scheduled to coincide in May to align with Older Americans Month. Older Americans Month celebrates the contributions older Americans make to their communities. This year, the theme of Older Americans Month is Aging Unbound. Aging Unbound offers the opportunity to explore a wide range of aging experiences and to promote the importance of enjoying independence and fulfillment by paving our own paths as we age. What better way to celebrate Aging Unbound than to recognize these 5 selfless doers and givers in our region. These folks are the epitome of independence and fulfillment. I'm always humbled to learn of the time and energy these honorees give to their communities, whether to improve access to mental health, town improvements, help older adults in need, service to town councils, or helping veterans. These folks are making a difference. It's hard to believe this is the 10th year of our 5 over 50 celebration. What began as a fundraising banquet in one county has evolved into a media event with watch parties in each of our counties. We are grateful to our hosts, Prince Michel Winery, Key Raymond Winery, the Fauquier Chamber of Commerce, the Path Foundation, and the Lake of the Woods Clubhouse. To see all of our honorees from years past, please visit our website at www.agingtogether.org. I will now turn the program over to our Executive Director, Ellen Phipps, who is live in the Culpeper Media Studios. Have a great night, and again, congratulations to all of our honorees. Thank you so much.
Welcome, welcome. This is our 10th annual 5 over 50 event, and I'm a little bit shaken right now because there was a surprise in there, the montage of the 10th year anniversary, that I am going completely off script. I just am flabbergasted. It was just so moving. Johnny and Nicole put that together. I just didn't know, but to see my former colleagues, our former executive directors, Jeff Say is with me in the studio. I have gone completely off script here, but I do want to thank all of our sponsors, Culpeper Wellness, local counties, and many others who have helped facilitate and launch many initiatives that Aging Together does. And you know, the Regional Resource Guide for Older Adults, Generation Central Adult Daycare, we helped to get that off the ground over at the Culpeper Baptist Church. The Home Care Companion Program at Rapid Home, Fauquier Fish and DSS food program for older adults. Just to mention a few things, this is what Aging Together is about. It's about looking at gaps in services in communities and brainstorming solutions. 5 over 50 is one of our signature events. As you can see, this is our 10th year. We have received nominations from the community, and we've celebrated one person or one couple each year over, throughout our 5 counties. But this event would not be possible without the support of our communities and people like you, people who took the time to nominate somebody, to write out those applications and turn those in, to the legislators who have taken the time to present proclamations tonight to our honorees at the watch parties, to our local media for helping to spread the word about this event. But I need to take a special moment to thank each and every one of our sponsors. Please bear with me, and please support them in the community. And our premier sponsor, with whom this event would not be possible since the inception of this event 10 years ago, Culpeper Media, Johnny and Nicole. They worked tirelessly, traveling to each county to film the honorees and the introducers. They worked tirelessly behind the scenes to edit. They listened to our crazy wishes and our whims to change things up right at the last minute. And then they pull it all together seamlessly. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Okay, thank you to our 3-star sponsors, Culpeper Star Exponent, the Fauquier Chamber. Alec, thank you for hosting. Orange County Department of Social Services, Crystal, you're amazing. Rappahannock Rapidan Community Services in honor of Scott Bennett. You guys are great. Thank you to our 2-star level sponsors, Culpeper Human Services, Lisa, Sarah, thank you. Fauquier Health, Lake of the Woods Lions Club in honor of Lee Frame. Madison Department of Social Services, thank you, Valerie. Rapid Home in honor of Barbara Adolphi. Rapid Home, you guys rock. Rappahannock County Department of Social Services, Gail, thank you for your tremendous support. UVA Health, Culpeper Medical Center, and Jeff Say, my buddy, my colleague, who's here with me tonight live in the studio. Thank you to our 1-star level sponsors, Disability Resource Center, Home Instead, Old Rag Photography in honor of Barbara Adolphi, and our Regional Transportation Collaborative Mobility Center. Kristen, Patrick, you all, we couldn't do this without you. Before we begin, I want to turn the program over to my colleague Jeff Say with UVA Health Culpeper Medical Center and board member of Aging Together. Well, I finished crying because I was so moved. Jeff, over to you.
Thank you, Ellen. My name is Jeff Say. I'm the manager of community engagement for UVA Health Culpeper Medical Center, and I am so pleased to be on the board of Aging Together, and we're very happy to be here tonight. UVA Health Culpeper Medical Center is proud to sponsor this important event that celebrates older adults for 10 years now. At UVA Health Culpeper Medical Center, we are transforming health and inspiring hope for all Virginians and beyond. We value our partnership with Aging Together and Ellen and all the staff. They're just incredible. And tonight, we are so happy to be celebrating our experienced community members who have provided so much value over the years. I think that was lovely what Johnny and Nicole put together, because it shows how much they've worked for 10 years, providing the volunteers, providing their experience, their volunteering opportunities, and their personal connections, that they've made a major impact in our communities, Ellen.
Absolutely.
On behalf of UVA Health Culpeper Medical Center and our entire UVA Community Health team, I say thank you. No, I'm getting choked up. Oh. Thank you and congratulations for 10 years of 5 over 50. An amazing job. Following the show, there will be a short supercut, a part 2. If you've ever watched the Marvel end credits, it's kind of like that. So don't go away. When the film is finished, you will get a chance to celebrate with your honoree at your individual watch parties. We will now begin the show. Please watch as we hear from all 5 of our honorees and the people who are introducing them.
Hello, I'm Barbara Black, and I'm honored and delighted to introduce Barbara Adolfi, Rappahannock County's 5 over 50 awardee this year. Coretta Scott King said, "The greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its members." And I'm here to say that Barbara Adolfi, with her huge heart and keen mind, is exemplary of such compassionate action. As a mental health professional, Barbara had a stellar career in Northern Virginia as a social worker, trainer, and developer of early intervention programs, as a consultant, clinical supervisor, and trainer, and as a therapist in private practice specializing in families with disabled children and with emotional, behavioral, and substance abuse problems. When she retired to Rappahannock County in 1989, she continued her counseling work with children and families at the urging of our local family physician, Dr. McHugh. She served as a crisis counselor for the Sperryville Volunteer Rescue Squad, and she was consultant to the Rapidan Rappahannock Community Services Board. Perhaps her most lasting influence is in initiating and doggedly advocating for the hiring of Rappahannock County Public Schools' first ever and much needed social worker position in 2019. The impact of that position has been extraordinary for many, many children and families, and it will be for years to come. She ran one of the county's first tourist homes, served on a gateway committee that created crosswalks and footbridges over the Thornton River, and for 10 years wrote a warm and lively Sperryville column for the Rappahannock News with a focus on people always and events and businesses. In 2009, Barbara was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, and yet for the past 14 years has continued to serve her community. In 2015, she organized an all-day workshop for people living with movement disorders at Mountainside Physical Therapy, where she's been an ardent exerciser, taking spinning and Pilates classes for her own well-being. In a 2021 interview in the Rappahannock News, a doer's profile, Barbara said, "Relationships with people count more than anything in life. Our village has grown in many ways, and it is due in large part to the people here helping each other prosper." Barbara shines as one of those people, and our community is a better place because of her. Please welcome my dear friend and yours, Barbara Adolfi.
Okay, I'm Barbara Adolfi, and I was a school social worker in Fairfax County Public Schools for 23 years, and I loved the mountains. I always wanted to live in the mountains. Now one day I was with 7 women in my van. We were coming down the mountain, and something was going wrong with my van. I thought, what are we going to do? It's like 7 o'clock on a Saturday night, And the SS station, now Shaw's Auto Repair, was still open. So I rolled in and told the guy asked him what we needed. He said, I can't fix it tonight. I can't get the parts. It's too late. So we were there stewing, the 7 of us, trying to figure out what to do. A man who was sitting in a chair right next to the door stood up. He said, you can take my van, bring it back tomorrow. We all were aghast. I mean, not aghast, we were surprised by that. And he said, yeah, go ahead. He didn't take a credit card or didn't take a driver's license or anything. He just gave me the keys. So I brought it back the next day, and it felt like home. That was the beginning. After that, I retired and moved into Rappahannock County, where I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I thought maybe I'd make baskets. But I soon got into a lot of community activities. And eventually, Ray and I opened a vacation rental house in this house, and now we live in it. You know, the people that I met, one of the things that happened is I didn't make baskets as I told my friends I would do when I retired. I made a few, but then I went to a dinner party, and Anita Sherman, who was then the editor of the Rappahannock News, I met her. By the end of the evening, she asked me if I would write the Sperryville column. I got to writing so many things about so many people. As a social worker, I tend to get the story about people's lives before they know it. And so I told the story of people's lives. I wrote a lot about just people that I would meet, or businesses that were opening, or businesses that were closing. It was all about the people in Sperryville. So I got to meet people, and the more I met people, the more I liked it. And the more people I met, the happier I was to be here. The Key Theater was the first one that I became involved with. It's now absorbed into RAC Theater, RAC organization. But and I became chair of the board for a few years. That was when I really started meeting another group of people, and did a lot of fundraising. Had some fun fundraising experiences, and of course they began expanding the offerings of what they had to show in the theater. So that was one of the things I did. Well, the Sperryville Rescue Squad used to have an annual beauty pageant, and it cost a lot of money to put that together, and the profit was very low. Plus, it was not the best thing for a girl's self-esteem in the long run. So I decided to reorganize the fundraising, and I went to every business in town, and we have a little main street, but I found 62 businesses in Sperryville, and we raised much more money the first year than they had ever raised before. And that's been the model. They stopped the beauty pageant by a vote of the board and decided to go with this format. So that's what we do today. Key Theater and Rescue Squad were two of the main ones. I had a clinical private practice here too. I wasn't going to continue my private practice in my retirement, but the local doctor, when I went to him for a flu shot, he said, he was talking about all of his patients that he was seeing who were very sick, but he said they're stress-related illnesses. He said, can you open up your practice? He said, I can take care of their physical problems, but I can't take care of the stress. So he offered me his office space at night. So I eventually opened up, the first was a room over here on the other side of the wall, this way, and then I moved out to another office eventually. Yeah, I was the over-functioning oldest in my family. I carried that on. No, it's become part of my way of life. And again, I really mean it when I say nothing that I have done would have happened without this community of people. I've got such very good friends here now that since I've been here full-time since '98, that nothing I do would be done without everybody who's here. This award, I'm so glad I received it. I'm very honored by that, and I appreciate the help. But anything I've done in this county is not what I've done, it's what we've done together. None of these things would have happened if we didn't all work together. And I appreciate you. This award is for you as much as it is for me.
My name is Jeff Flynn. I had this honor of this award 4 years ago in 2019 as one of the 5 over 50. And the year that I got it, I thought to myself, don't they know about Lee Frame? Because Lee has been so active in this community for so many years. Lee spent 30 years in the Navy and 11 more in the civil service position before moving to Orange County. As an Orange County resident, Lee has done a huge amount of volunteer and public service work. He ran rescue calls as a trained EMT for 16 years with our local fire and rescue. He's been an active member of the Lake of the Woods Lions Club since 2008, and their motto is, "We serve," and he does. As a Lion, he didn't just make a dinner meeting once a month, but he always participated in committee work, fundraisers like the perpetual yard sale that we have, and the annual Christmas Light Memorial Project, and then he'd be on the benevolent committees to help distribute the funds. In the meantime, he has served on the board of directors for our homeowners association, the Orange County Planning Commission, the Orange County Board of Supervisors. He's been on the board of directors for RSA, which is our local water authority. He's currently on the board for Dogwood Village, which is the senior care facility in Orange. And additionally, he finds time to go to church every Sunday morning. I see him out at Lake of the Woods Church. Lee Frame has been the most active and most visible volunteer in our community for over 20 years. All of those years after he was 50, or how about after he was 60. I'd like to present to you Lee Frame.
I grew up in a small town, probably about the size of Lake of the Woods here, or the town of Orange, and never really planned to do much other than maybe get a job, and grew up in my small town. But then I ended up with a 30-year Navy career, and I hadn't planned on that, but it was just sort of the thing that sort of fell into place. And then I decided to retire from the military and civil service, and I came down here to Lake of the Woods to play golf and go fishing. I've been fishing twice in 20 years. I play golf maybe once or twice a year. But I found there were a lot of other interesting things that I like to do, and so I've gotten very involved. One of the things about living in Orange County and living in Lake of the Woods is there's so many opportunities to serve people, to work with them, to directly impact their lives. I found that when I got involved with the Lions Club, they're doing tremendous things. You know, every Saturday morning, I do something that is totally brainless. I sit there and calibrate eyeglasses. That's a great way to spend the morning talking to people, but you're doing something that is servicing. And that's sort of typical, I think, of everyone here in the county. So I served on the board of directors here, failed to get reelected in the board of directors, but probably the best thing that could have happened to me. As a result, I got on the County Planning Commission and then eventually ran for office as a Board of Supervisors. And I've been doing that for 15, 16 years. In addition, while I was here, right after 9/11, I recognized that if we had more big casualties like that and you wanted to call for help, you may not be able to get it because they'll be tied up elsewhere. So I decided maybe I ought to learn to be an EMT, which is what I did. Not necessarily planning to serve on the rescue squad, but I ended up doing that anyway. But primarily to be able to help my friends and family in case of an emergency. So that was 16 years of the time I was down here. When you take somebody who's in dire straits medically, and you get them into a hospital and maybe can help them on the way, that is extremely gratifying and satisfying. I mean, I just can't imagine having a better retirement than the last 20 years. Just all the things that I've been able to do, all the people I've been able to meet, all of the tremendous people who I get to work with who are doing so much to take care of people in this county. I mean, it's just amazing. Having found this place, which is so supportive, and finding a county which is also very supportive, I think it's just, it's a lot of luck. Take advantage of any opportunities you have for public service. You will feel good about it. And this 5/50, I mean, I'm looking at some of the previous people that have had that, Donalda Lovelace, Jeff Flynn, and I'm saying, to be put in the same category with those people, I really feel honored by that. I mean, there's just a lot of really good people doing a lot of good things in this county, and I'm glad to be recognized as just one of them. I'm just very thankful for the recognition that the 5 over 50 gives me. I know that there are many people who deserve it in this county, and I appreciate the selection. I appreciate Jeff Lynn's nominating me, but I've also appreciated the opportunities that I've had to serve both in Lake of the Woods and in Orange County.
I appreciate the sacrifices you made for our country, and I appreciate the sacrifices every time you've done for Orange County as well.
I'm afraid I don't consider them sacrifices. The ones with the Navy when I was separated from my family, I've got 3 great kids. You know, my wife did a great job of raising them. So, but I'm not sure I consider sacrifices just as much an enjoyable. I enjoy the service.
My name is Valerie Ward. I'm the director at Madison Department of Social Services. I had the privilege of meeting Scott Bennett about 3 years ago when he was appointed to my Department of Social Services board. I had not met Scott before, but heard that a retired naval officer, a disabled veteran, was interested in what was going on in Madison County. And as Scott joined our board, his passion to help the veterans in our community was our starting point, but really just opened the door for his concern for all of the many issues facing the citizens of Madison County. An immediate need that was identified was the need for folks to have access to durable medical equipment. And we kind of jokingly talked about, you know, how do we have folks that have wheelchairs be able to get them out of their house when they no longer need them, but yet folks who desperately needed those items be able to access them. So we jokingly said we should develop the Hot Wheels program. It started as a joke, but it actually became a program that is run through our local American Legion program now. Again, we discussed issues facing the Department of Social Services. Food insecurity came up. And in that realm, we talked about we have so many folks struggling with social isolation and transportation challenges that the need for food to be delivered to some of our more remote areas came up. And something that I really want folks to know about Scott is he doesn't just participate in that assessment that communities do to identify what issues are. He actually rolls his sleeves up and personally participates in the solutions to those problems. Scott actually became one of our first volunteer drivers for the REACH mobile food delivery program, and co-coordinates the Madison United community stakeholder group that we have here. He, since that stint on the DSS board, has also become a representative on the Rappahannock-Rapidan Community Services Board with me. And in that role, we also are looking at kind of mental health, behavioral health concerns and suicide prevention. So as we look at the crossover between suicide among veterans, Scott has really been a wealth of input in the conversation about how we can do a better job meeting the needs of the citizens of our entire region. It is my privilege to introduce to you tonight Scott Bennett, the recipient of the 5 over 50 award for Madison County.
My name is Scott Bennett. I've been in Madison County 6.5 years. My wife and I currently reside in Riva in Madison. We wanted to move back from Virginia after I retired from the Navy. And we decided on Madison because of its rural nature and the friendly people. I live in a county with more cows than people. So I do like the ruralness of Madison. We live in a farmhouse that was built in 1930 and has been renovated. And I've got 3 quiet acres there. So it's a very peaceful place. When you've served your country for over 28 years, service is ingrained into you. And I wanted to continue to serve the community. So the best way to do it was to address certain issues that were problems in Madison. You know, food insecurity, health care, especially mental health care, and I could just see a need, and I had the time to help with it. I started when I saw a television article on the news about DSS, Department of Social Services, needing drivers to do food delivery for the federal REACH program. So I contacted Valerie Ward and got set up, and it kind of snowballed from there. As it stands today, I'm the commander of American Legion Post 157 in Madison. I am on the board of directors for the Department of Social Services. I'm on the board of directors for Rappahannock Rapidan Community Services. And I do durable medical equipment deliveries, either short-term or long-term. So we do, again, short-term rentals, or if someone needs a wheelchair for the rest of their life, we provide it. We have a storage unit here in Madison that's donated to us that stores all our medical equipment. I'm also the Veteran Service Office for this post. Now what that means is I help veterans get their benefits. The VA can be very difficult to navigate. I know because I'm an 80% disabled veteran. I broke my back in a plane crash in Iraq when I was serving there. And in fact, 2 years ago, I was in a wheelchair myself. It took me 5 years fighting the VA to get a back operation so I could walk again. So again, because I went through it personally, I know what difficulties there are for veterans, especially if they don't know the system, to navigate that system. It's not an easy thing to do. And that snowballed into helping with food insecurity. 44% of the residents of Madison County are working poor. They live paycheck to paycheck. And a lot of them have to rely on food assistance programs and Medicaid to get by. So there's a great need for help for them in this community. You know, at one point I was delivering food to 9 families once a month up in Etland and Syria. These people don't have working vehicles, so they can't get to the food pantries. One woman in particular, she's 82, and she lives in a concrete building, home, I guess, with her 5 dogs and 2 cats. And she can't get out to get food. So once a month, I deliver food to her. And my wife helps me now with that now that she's retired. But the woman is just so great. She's so appreciative of what we do. I mean, she has to hug me even during COVID every time I came and saw her because she was so thankful. In fact, now I make a special trip into Mesa to their food pantry to get her dog and cat food because they don't offer that at the mobile food pantry, obviously. And it's just a pleasure working with her. And some of the families I deliver to, most people would not believe that people actually live in the dwellings they're in. So, I mean, it does warm my heart when I'm able to help families out like that. I just like helping people. I mean, I could stay retired and sit at home and watch The Price is Right, or I can go out and assist people. And I prefer to assist people.
Mrs. Darlene B. Kelly is a retired RN who devoted over 3 decades to her nursing career, which included a broad range of rewarding experiences from direct nursing care and supervision of other nurses to an administrative position, which included being the Quality Improvement and Accreditation Licensure Director for a health system. Darlene's diverse community and background allows her to continue her passion for helping others. She is well known for her excellence in the school, community, and the church family. She currently serves as the co-founder and chair of the Health Equity Action Team of Fauquier County. Her vision is to support the mission which is to promote health, healthcare access, and health equity in Fauquier County. Darlene is an active member of Silver Hill Baptist Church in Bealeton, Virginia, where she holds the position of First Lady, Superintendent of Sunday school teacher, usher, instructor, and trainer, member of the Deaconess Ministry, Sunday School, Bible Study Ministry, and Evangelist Outreach Chair. Mrs. Kelly serves as a spokesperson for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, a spokesperson for Spiritual Care Support Ministries. She is a member of the Women's Auxiliary to the Northern Virginia Baptist Association, and she is a member of the NAACP of Fauquier County and serves as Health Committee Chair. And there are so many other organizations that I cannot name also. Darlene is married to the Reverend Dr. James R. Kelly, and together they have 5 children, 1 deceased son, and 9 grandchildren. Mrs. Kelly is one who goes above and beyond the call of duty in pursuing excellence, and that's why it's always a pleasure to work with her. When we look at all of Mrs. Kelly's involvement and accolades, accomplishments, it is very obvious why the award is being presented to her. It is my pleasure to introduce the 5 over 50 recipient for Fauquier County in the name of Mrs. Darlene Kelly.
I'm Darlene B. Kelly, and currently I'm a retired RN and hospital administrator. I grew up on farmland in Rappahannock, and we had a huge farm in Hume, which was Fauquier County. Husband, you know, you follow your husband, so he wanted to be in Warrenton, and that's where we came. The children enjoyed growing up here, and church-based, our home church is here, so it's home. It's home because that's where I've planted my roots, that's where I give back, and a lot of the people are here that I have been with for many, many years. I believe everybody is equal. I believe everybody should have the fair chance at life. So those things move me into the nonprofits that I'm involved with. And so I am the president of Fauquier Hospital Auxiliary. I am on the board of Mental Health Association, and I'm the chair for the Education and Prevention Committee. I am the president of Ministers' Wives and Ministers' Fellowship of Northern Virginia, and a few other things. And I'm a member of Silver Hill Baptist Church, where my husband is the pastor, the Reverend Dr. James R. Kelly. Well, I find the appointment to the Mental Health Association of Fauquier County an honor. And when I first became a member, I was a general board member, and then I became the chair for Education and Prevention. And I started looking at not just the programs we were doing, but how we could further expand this part of Mental Health Association deeply into Fauquier County. We have a lot of people of color out there that will not talk about Mental Health Association. It's taboo. And we've been taught, you pray, and that's enough, and it's not enough. God has blessed everyone with gifts and talents. So one of the things that I was allowed to do was to bring the spiritual care into Mental Health Association and bring in the community members that are leaders in faith-based, whether it's a church or an institution. And we've been able to come up with some processes and hopefully continue with networking with them, bringing them on board to create their own programs so that people who attend churches can be attended to with their mental health. And for Fauquier County, Fauquier Hospital Auxiliary, we focus in on cancer patients and mental health, all the mental health issues. And now I am a co-founder with Kathy Marmot of the Fauquier County Health Equity Action Team, which means we are looking to make sure that people in Fauquier County have the ability to get the health care and live the life that they deserve to live. when it comes to helping people, you always have to have an open mind, look for opportunities to make their life a little bit better. So I came up in a family where I'm the oldest of 4 siblings, and my mother always said, she called me Leanie, you have to take care of them. So it started from the time I was a little child, knowing that I had to take care of someone else. And I have some youth that I can look at today and understand that I did leave an impression with them. Some are social workers, some are doctors, some are IT people, and they will come back to me and say, you were so right. I have more fulfillment by giving back. I grew up in a small community, and I often remember Hillary Clinton saying, it takes a village. I grew up in a village. Everybody was connected, everybody cared about everybody, everybody loved everybody. So giving back is just really important to me. And when I'm no longer here, what is going to make the biggest difference for all the work that I've done is that someone else can take the baton and pass it on.
It is my pleasure this evening to introduce Perry Smiley to you, a most worthy gentleman to be recognized by this wonderful event. Perry was born in 1933 in South Carolina during the Great Depression. He was one of 11 children, grew up on a small farm in South Carolina. And it was during this time, during this Depression, that Perry's formative years, he learned the great lessons of life. He learned faithfulness, he learned hard work, and he learned compassion. And those are things that he has carried with him throughout his life. Perry is recognized by many for his work with the VFW as a retired Marine. He is in the Color Guard at the National Cemetery and is there as many as 190 times a year to honor those who have served this country. He's also a man who is a very fortunate man because he married a wonderful woman who was just like him, Linda. He and Linda have served this community in the aging area for many, many years. Perry has worked with Man of Ministry, he's worked with the Food Closet, he has done so many wonderful things for those who have needs that cannot handle them themselves. He is also a man who, in my relationship with, as minister of the Culpeper Presbyterian Church, helped grow our Congregational Care Committee. He's the one who helped spur us into a very active ministry to those in need in the community and in our church. He serves them by carrying them where they need to go. He serves them by providing food. He serves them by his work in the VFW. He is primarily the organizer and the distributor of hospital equipment to anyone in the community who needs it after surgery or an accident. Perry is the man to contact through the VFW, and he does a wonderful job there. I could go on and on about who he is and what he does, but I think that the Marine Corps motto, Semper Fidelis, says it all. Compassion, care, faithfulness, and hard work. That describes Perry Smiley, and it is my pleasure to introduce him to you now.
I'm Perry Smiley. I'm retired. I spent 26 years in the Marine Corps, and mostly I just volunteer now. I had wanted to become an agriculture teacher when I was growing up on the farm. As I said in my bio there, that's in there. But the Korean War was going at that time, and in 1952, 51 and 52, the draft was in. And I was going to be drafted, I knew I would be. So I joined the Marine Corps, and I was hoping to use the GI Bill afterwards to go to college. But when I got in the Marine Corps, my first 4 years, I had done a lot of traveling, and I loved it. So I decided to make it that's when I decided to make it a career. And that's when I stayed 26 years. Well, I was in the Marine Corps, and I retired after 26 years, a little over 26 years from the Marine Corps. I was living in Nokesville, and we were looking for a place for a school for my son who was finishing up middle school. So we looked out in Rappahannock and out in different parts of this area, and we decided to send him to Wakefield Country Day School. So we sold our home in Nokesville and moved to Rappahannock. And then we both started getting old, and we started looking for places to settle down, and we were familiar with Culpeper because we did all of our activities in Culpeper. 7 years ago, we moved to Culpeper from Rappahannock. We lived in Rappahannock 28 years. Culpeper is my home, and I'm happy with it. I'll be here for the rest of my days. In fact, I'll probably be over here in the National Cemetery one day. Well, I think there's others doing more than me who are more eligible than me for the award, but so I can't tell you, what I do that others don't. I'll tell you the volunteer work I do. I volunteer at the National Cemetery not on the National Cemetery, but I volunteer to provide honors for veterans who are buried in this area with the honor guard from the VFW. Last year we did 109 funerals for veterans in this area. It's kind of emotional when I think about it, because if we didn't do them, they would have normally 2 people there from the military service to fold the flag and present the flag. We do the whole works. We do taps, we do folding of the flag and presenting that to the next of kin, as well as firing the volleys, which is the full honors for a veteran who is being buried. So we do the whole works. And I also volunteer with the senior centers. I volunteer with the senior centers at Rappahannock as well as the senior center here in Culpeper. I've helped them with their fundraising activities. I helped Gladys Williams years ago. I was involved with the Salem Ruritan Club, and I think Gladys mentioned to me that we were one of the first groups to help raise money for the senior center here in Culpeper. I was the president of the Salem Ruritan Club at that time, and I was talking to Gladys, and she said they needed some money for the senior center, so I helped raise some money at that time, and then I helped with her raise money for the renovation of the senior center a couple of years ago. I helped Darcy Canton up at the senior center at Rappahannock. Before the pandemic, I helped her for a number of years with her annual breakfast, which was a big fundraiser. We raised, I think, $4,000 or $5,000 each year at a breakfast. I also volunteer with the VFW. I run the hospital equipment loan program. Last year alone, we donated equipment that if people had to purchase it was over $106,000 worth of equipment. That's hospital beds, wheelchairs, walkers, canes, you name it, and if we have it, we loan it. Another volunteer work I do is with Manna Ministry, which was started by the Presbyterian Church here, and now many of the churches in Culpeper are involved with that. That is feeding the homeless and others who need a meal. And that's fed here at Presbyterian Church 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I pick up food from Wisest Food Store 3 days a week for that and help deliver that and do other things when it's needed with the Manna Ministry. So there's plenty of volunteer opportunities in Culpeper if people just take advantage of it. I'm very proud of my Marine Corps service, my 26 years there. And I'm proud of this church, the Presbyterian Church where I go, and also the volunteer work I do. And people wait too late to start volunteering, I think. After you retire, if you don't volunteer, you just sit. So I think the volunteer work that I do is what I would put a feather in on everything on my life work, activities rather. I don't know how you could go through life without volunteering, helping others, because it's a good feeling. You don't look for any reward. You get your reward when you give it to them. I'm really pleased to get this honor, but really I could do without it and would prefer not being sitting here, to tell you the truth, and have someone else do it, because I don't need honors to do what I do. I volunteer, and that is enough satisfaction for me, just to help others when I can. And that's what I try to do.
I don't know about you, but I get choked up just watching these amazing people. It's just truly humbling. But please stay tuned. We have more. There is some bonus footage. It's hard to learn about such incredible people who do so much and whose lives are so complicated in just a very brief 7-minute interview. So we have this additional montage, a bonus. You can learn things like what inspires them and what advice would they give to young people. So don't go away. And also, please be thinking about people that you may know. We know that there are many, many people deserving of this award in each county. Do you know somebody that's deserving of this award? We take nominations all year round. And so please think about nominating an extraordinary volunteer in your community. And you can save the date for May 1st, 2024, when we will kick off Older Americans Month with our 5 over 50 celebration. So mark your calendars. Thanks so much, everybody. Enjoy your celebrations. Enjoy your parties. And thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate you.
I just love people. I'm a people person. I see someone in need, I will stop and see what I can do within reason. So helping, serving, that's my passion, to love and to help.
So finding ways for all of us to feel welcome with each other and that's a tricky thing, not easy. So building community and friends is very important to me.
I enjoy doing it, number one. And number two, what else are you going to do when you get old? I'll be 90 years old in July. You know, and if I didn't do this, I'd be sitting at home, getting big. And so I have things to do, you know, I try to stay active.
When I was growing up, my dad had MS. And it was a debilitating type of MS. And back then, I joined the Boy Scouts because I needed to get out and I needed a father figure. And the scoutmasters and the assistants helped me out with that. Took me on camping trips, things like that. So they gave back to me. So I think it's important to give back to other people.
I want to spend my time with other people. I like to read a book and stuff like that, but I do like to spend time with people. And so that sort of says, okay, where can I go? I can go to, I can go to the Lions and help them run their sales because I know that that's making funds for good purposes. I will go to the board meetings for the clinic because I know that there are people there being helped.
I don't know, I can tell one story that happened some time ago. I was picking up, I picked up groceries from Wise Food Store on the other end of when it was on the other end of town, there down the Walmart end of town. And there was a homeless person that would sleep under the trees there. And I'd speak to him every day and talk to him, and I knew him, because he would eat with us at Manor once in a while. And I was talking to him, and he said he needed some money because he was doing something, and the person, he spoke pretty well. He was not, he was educated, but he was homeless. So he said, "Can you loan me some money?" I said, "How much you need?" He said, $40. So I said, "Well, I'll give him $40." You know, so I gave him $40. 3 months later, when I was picking up down there, he come running over to me, and he had the $40 returned to me, which was a surprise. But you know, he was just his bad luck that he was in need, you know, and I'm just happy to help when I can, and I think most people are.
Yeah, one of the things that being an EMT, you get to see some of the people who are really suffering. You get out there and you see you're out at a little single wide in the rural areas all by itself, and you got a family there that's having its difficulties. And so that sort of makes you appreciate it sort of says that people do need to be able to help serve these people, and they need it. And so just listening to them and talking to them and doing what you can to help them is pretty critical to providing any kind of help to their lives. At one time we brought a guy back whose heart stopped, and we got him going again, and he ended up living. But you know, I mean, that's gratifying. I mean, how can you not be affected by something like that?
There are many, but I'd like to just give reference to this. I had 4 boys, and before each holiday, especially around Thanksgiving, I wanted them to know that there were people out there who were less fortunate than them. So we went to the food banks, we would bag up food, we'd buy turkeys, and then we'd visit hotels. And so for me, I had gotten past the shock of opening the door and seeing 8 to 9, 12 people in a room living like that. But what became so important to me is for my boys to see it. And then they began to understand how fortunate they were and how unfortunate other people were. And I was fostering in them the same thing that's in me, that Steve seeded. You have to take care of other people and never think that you're above anyone else. So having my children come up with that philosophy as well is really important.
I was involved in a lot of wonderful activities. It's just like the position for school social worker that didn't exist before. I happened to meet the acting superintendent at that time because dear old Aileen Johnson, who was a longtime member of the school board, is a grande dame of Sperryville, came knocking through my kitchen door and she said, "Haven't you got a house to rent up there on the hill right now?" And I said, "It's for sale." And she said, "Well, can we rent it for Dr. Blair?" And I said yes, because when Aileen talks, we listen. She's a wonderful woman in her 90s. And I saw this as an opportunity. The opportunity was to lobby for a school social worker. So I sat with Dr. Blair and talked for a while, and I offered to volunteer to write the position description for him using state standards. He liked what we did, he liked the idea, he took it on as a project, he included the position in the budget for that year. It was kind of a lumpy road to get there, but we got there because the whole community came out in support of it. There were many people who spoke at the board meetings. So now we have a school social worker in Rappahannock County Schools, and I'm very proud of that.
Well, I do have time for myself. You know, not as much as I used to, but I do have time for myself. And I enjoy target shooting. I'm going to try to get back into golf now that I can walk again. And now that my wife is retired, you know, we can spend more time together. And I take care of our 2 cats.
I do. I enjoy things with my wife. We do things. We like to travel. We haven't been able to travel any during the pandemic. We have a son and his family who lives in Amsterdam. We would like to visit them and do some more traveling in Europe.
I started looking at Steve Harvey, which people laugh because he made me laugh. And one day I was laughing so hard, I looked around to see where that voice was coming from. It was me. I also started some gardening on my patio, and I've always gardened, but they became the contact for me, where I could go and appreciate the growth and nurse them through. I was still nursing when the plants weren't doing so well, but I learned to set boundaries for myself.
One of the opportunities I've had here is very early when I moved here, a friend of mine said, "You know, I've written this musical." And he said, "I'd like you to take the male lead." Okay. "Oh, sure, I can do that." And that got me started. And then and I've done like, I guess maybe 24 over the 20 years.
I love to cook, yeah. I love to cook Italian too. I mean, I always have in my freezer, I have a big jar of sauce with meatballs in it. Now I have to have gluten-free meatballs and pork meatballs. But we do that, big jars of it at a time. It is, it really is good. And then we also have a good time because we give them away too. That's the other part of it that's really nice, is connecting with people in a small way, something I cooked in my kitchen for my friends.
One thing that bugs me is the generation that we're seeing today doesn't like to volunteer. They don't like to help out. Community service is ingrained in myself, at least. And I think that once people get introduced to it and they find out that it doesn't take all their time up, that they can make a difference.
If you want to stay active, if you want to do something for others, volunteer. There's nothing better, I don't think.
So I'm always speaking to youth, what is it that you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And think about the process of getting this done. And at the same time, never forget where you came from. That keeps you grounded. And learning that you are accountable for the community that you live in. And you have to give back.
And I know when I graduated from Georgetown, I wanted to go into the Peace Corps. But my father said, "Are you kidding? After paying all that tuition, I'm not going to do that." So I didn't go. I regretted it ever since. So I tell people, take risks in your life, but be careful.
Just treat people with the utmost of respect all the time, and much of that will come back to you. And, you know, do what you do, but try to do it as well as you can. And don't be afraid of failure. I've got several of them in my background, and you can move on from them. And don't get depressed if things don't always go the way you expected. Just go ahead and keep moving forward with a positive attitude. And, you know, I don't know what else I can recommend.